Okay, so imagine waking up tomorrow and everything you eat costs nothing. $0, free, forever. Sounds incredible, right? No more grocery bills, no more checking prices. Just walk into any store and take whatever you want. Stick around because what happens next is way stranger than you'd expect. We're talking empty cities, underground tomato cartels, and a guy named Gary hoarding 200 cans of beans in his garage. Oh, and by month 2, Gary becomes the richest man on your street. I'll explain why later. But first, let's talk about what happens the second this becomes reality. It's 8 a.m. The announcement just went live. All food is now free. What's the first thing that happens? Absolute chaos. Within 30 minutes, every grocery store looks like Black Friday crashed into a zombie apocalypse. People are sprinting down aisles, grabbing everything. Steaks, lobster tails, those fancy cheeses you can't pronounce. And people are taking stuff they don't even like. There's a psychological phenomenon called the zero price effect. When something costs zero, our brains don't process it rationally anymore. We assign it infinite value. That organic kale you wouldn't touch last week, you're suddenly loading a shopping cart with it because it's free. By 10 a.m., grocery stores are cleaned out, completely bare. Employees have abandoned their posts because, well, if food's free, why would they work? They're not getting paid to restock shelves for a store that's making zero revenue. Restaurants are a different kind of disaster. Every single one is packed. Why would anyone cook at home when you can get free 5-star dining? But after about 6 hours, chefs start walking out, servers stop showing up. Turns out they still need money for rent, electricity, and everything else that isn't free in this scenario. By nightfall on day 1, you're sitting at home with 40 pounds of shrimp in your freezer, 3 lobsters you don't know how to cook, and the slowly dawning realization that you have no idea what happens next. The grocery stores are empty, restaurants are closing, and nobody thought about what comes after the free-for-all. Day 3, grocery stores still aren't restocking. Why would they? There's no profit motive. The entire business model just evaporated. But here's what nobody anticipated. The supply chain runs on money, like every single part of it. Farmers need to buy seeds, pay for water, maintain equipment, hire labor. Truckers need fuel. Distributors need warehouses. None of that happens for free. So when food stops generating revenue, the entire pipeline stops. By day 4, shortages hit. And that's when people start hoarding. Your neighbor Gary has got 200 cans of beans in his garage now. Just in case, he says. Just in case what, Gary? But Gary's not wrong to be worried, because scarcity creates value and value creates desperation. By day 5, something fascinating happens. Bartering comes back. You've got eggs? I'll fix your car. You've got bread? I'll cut your hair. Humanity just reinvented a 10,000-year-old economic system, except now it's happening in suburban cul-de-sacs with people who have no idea what they're doing. Someone on your street starts a whiteboard listing what people have and what they need. Fresh tomatoes for plumbing work. We'll trade potatoes for Wi-Fi password. Chaotic but somehow organized. About 10% of the global workforce works in food-related industries. Farmers, truckers, grocery store workers, restaurant staff, food processing plant employees. That's roughly 300 million people who just lost their jobs overnight, and they still need money for rent, for utilities, for everything that isn't food. So now you've got mass unemployment, which means less money circulating, which means other businesses start failing, which means more unemployment. Congrats! We just speedran a global recession. By week 2, black markets emerge. And I'm not talking about shady back alley deals. I'm talking about entire underground economies. Fresh produce becomes currency. A ripe tomato in winter costs you 3 hours of electrical work and a used iPhone. Remember Gary, the bean guy? He's sitting on 200 cans of shelf-stable protein while everyone else is fighting over scraps. Gary's now the wealthiest person on your block. His beans are worth more than your car. Some communities form co-ops. People pool resources, share labor, work together to farm and distribute food. Other places are not so peaceful. Food riots start. People fighting over the last grain shipments, looting warehouses, violence over avocados. Yes, avocados. The world's weirdest apocalypse fuel. And here's something nobody saw coming. When food is free but scarce, you eat whatever you can find. That balanced diet you were maintaining is gone now. You're eating canned corn and stale crackers for dinner. Vitamin deficiencies spike. Malnutrition becomes a real problem by week 4, especially for kids. People start getting diseases we haven't seen in centuries. Scurvy from lack of vitamin C, bleeding gums, loose teeth, the whole pirate disease package, like we're in the 1700s again. But the truly wild transformation happens in year 1. Cities start dying. Here's why. Modern cities are food deserts by design. You can't grow enough crops in Manhattan to feed 8 million people. Cities rely on complex supply chains bringing food from hundreds of miles away. When those supply chains stop functioning, cities become unlivable. So people leave in droves. Urban populations drop by an estimated 30 to 40% in the first year. All those skyscrapers, those fancy high-rises, those trendy downtown apartments become empty shells. People migrate to rural areas where they can actually farm. Suddenly, land becomes the most important asset. Not a penthouse in the city, not a sports car, just land. Agriculture becomes the #1 job again, like we time traveled back to the 1800s. Except there's one problem: nobody knows how to farm anymore. We spent the last century outsourcing food production to specialists. People's relationship with food transforms completely. Food stops being just fuel, it becomes social currency, status, art. The best farmers become celebrities. Someone who can grow a perfect peach gets more respect than a hedge fund manager ever did. People trade recipes like secrets. Meals become events. Food becomes sacred again. By the end of year 1, humanity looks fundamentally different. Smaller cities, more spread out, more agricultural, less screen time, more dirt under fingernails. Society's been forced to decentralize, localize, and reconnect with the actual process of feeding itself. So yeah, free food sounds incredible until you realize free means nobody's getting paid to produce it, which means nobody produces it, which means scarcity, hoarding, black markets, mass migration, and society restructuring itself around the one thing humans actually need to survive. Turns out money isn't evil. It's the solution we invented to make sure farmers want to grow stuff and truckers want to deliver it. Anyway, this was all speculative nonsense, not making real predictions here. Thanks for watching, bye.